Temporary life. Some places experience severe natural convulsions, leading to a more or less destruction state. The history and rising of Aquila is related with its destructive condition. Its territorial situation determines dominant situation and at the same time its ruin. Like my hometown, Lisbon, Aquila was subjected to intense and destructive earthquakes along its history and suffered periods of construction and reconstruction. In Lisbon, buildings are referred as prior or after the big earthquake of 1775. It's a sublime history. L'Aquila suffered in 2009 a very dramatic human and material destruction with consequences that won't be solved in the next decade or maybe never. After the immediate moments of convulsion and destruction, an immense interruption followed, the suspension of permanence, movement and exchange. Permanence of people in the houses, blocks or neighbors was followed by death and depletion. Movements were first restricted and then suspended by security reasons. Exchange that characterized the city just vanished with life. An extensive deactivation of functions and uses was produced as a shadow over a landscape. Deconstruction of reality as it was known and experienced by the community was and still is perceived. Roofs, walls, revetments and installations fell or were just damaged. A state of suspension was suddenly what characterized life in L'Aquila. What will be this temporary life that happens between the tragic event and the more or less distant future when things will become normalized and unnecessarily different? Perhaps nothing evident or clear, but maybe a sequence of small facts will shape everyday life. A pedestrian metallic catwalk covered for protection connecting two important places is open. A square is repaved and people start appearing contemplating its own memories or reminding the younger. Walls of a church who lost his roof is now stabilized. A concert or a temporary market happens there and in the square in front. All these small and almost imperceptible facts start being signs of a temporary life, no more suspended, but in process. The reestablishment of dwelling conscience is connected with the reestablishment of spatial elements or structures. Visiting the collective and individual memory of Lisbon, I remind the situation of big fire in Chiado area at downtown. After these suffocating images of fire destruction, depletion and destruction were generalized, crossing access to the upper part of town was cut. Intense urban life disappeared, caused by spatial interruption and instability in structures. The introduction of a metallic catwalk created a protected and secure passage, and life flowed again. Memories and habits were reconnected. Everyone could observe works of reconstruction. We can imagine re-establishment of Aquila life in social, emotional, economical and social terms. Reactivation of former fundamental pathway will be followed by primary stabilization of places and buildings. People will start flowing in security and permanence in the affected spaces will start. Temporary markets, temporary gardens, permanent public spaces. Reactivation of space will start as a sort of architecture of degree zero, quoting Carrilho da Graça. Transference of material will generate new urban levels and the reconfiguration of landscape architecture in public space. Ruins will be stabilized and probably will remain uncovered for a more or less extensive period, like ruins inhabited. Dwelling Aquila will follow as temporary life.